Okay, so I'm going to do a little oil pastel sketch. I've just got this little set of 24 pastels. They're a bit loved and a bit used, but not too bad. And I've got just this little soft craft paper sketchbook. I've written paper dimensions in the back there. I like to write that in so that I can kind of, when I'm doing pieces, I know just how big or small they need to be. And I'm not going to go on that first page because that's too much pressure, so I'm just going to go in here, and it's just going to be something really loose. I quite like doing leaves. That's kind of my go-to if I'm trying to do something just like enjoyable. So I just like to do leaves really, and I do them in all different colours, but I am just going to go for like greens, I think, greens and yellows. So I think it's good to do a sketchbook because, and even if you're just doing stuff like this, you're just using the muscle memory, you're playing with colours, you're sort of finding out what you like and what the shapes are that you like, and you know, things that you enjoy doing and drawing, and the shapes that sort of speak to you. And I've got sketchbooks that are literally just leaves. There's nothing else in them. And that's all there is. Just pages and pages of them done in different colours, different mediums. And they're just really a bit of a go-to for me. Really got into oil pastels this past year. So about a year ago, just now in fact, coming up for, it's exactly a year since I broke my hand. And I broke these fingers. You can see they're not quite right. I broke these fingers, and so I couldn't hold a paintbrush and I couldn't paint, and I just thought, you know what, I love oil painting, but I can't do that just now, so I turned to oil pastels, and I really, really love oil pastels. And they are just so enjoyable. So these ones, these Artecho ones, which I thought was Artecho for a while until I kind of realised, no, it's Artecho. That they're just, these ones are, they're you know, they're not expensive ones, these ones, they're quite cheap, these ones. And they're, well, I'm not saying they're cheap, they're really affordable, but they are so fun to use. I don't think, there's nothing about light fastness or pigments or anything on these, you know, they're not your Senneliers or Neo Pastels or anything like that, but they are really good fun. I used to, I still use them. I have the Mungyo Gallery Soft Oil, Artist Soft Oil Pastels. Not to be confused with the Artist Oil Pastels, because those ones are not as good. But those used to be my go-to when I was doing anything. But now it's really these that I love to reach for, just to play with when I'm not doing anything particularly noteworthy, or particularly, you know, like if I want something that is just fun, I'm not going to use, you know, my best Sennelier for that. So I crack out these lads and I love them. They're just so joyful, and they just go down squidgy. And it's funny because when I was at school, I always wanted to use the oil pastels, but I could never get them to do anything that looked decent. And because it is quite hard to get oil pastels to do something that looks, you know, properly painterly or whatever. And obviously that's not what I'm going to be doing here. I'm just having fun doing a bit of layering and I don't really have a plan. Mainly just trying to work out how to do videos and practice a bit of editing and stuff. I mean, I tend not to use my fingers to mix because I think the oil pastels blend themselves really if you go over. I mean, you can use your fingers, but I tend to quite like just using the pastels themselves to kind of pull down the colours and mix them in. And oh, got a bit of orange in there. Obviously not cleaned these oil pastels off from the last time I used them. Look at that. Oh, lovely. Oh my goodness, look at that. Oh, lovely. Bright yellow. Yeah, so basically I started using oil pastels as my main medium for quite a while, and I just really love them now. They're just fun. There's no pressure, there's no stress, and it's almost like you can just totally take the pressure off yourself. Because this doesn't actually have to be good. It's really just something for a bit of fun, to be honest. I'm sorry about the noise of the heater. And it is, 12:15. It's after midnight, oh my goodness, on a Friday night. So they just all smoosh into each other. And I just love it. I'm gonna go for a bit of a warmer blue, I think, here. I just love how they all mix. You do get to a point where they're not going to mix anymore, and they just start going on top of each other. However, it's just lovely. It's lovely. What was that one? Was that? That was that. Let's give them a bit of shadow down here. And I'm really just playing with colour. I'm not really even thinking about what I'm doing here. It's just, I mean, you get different papers and different ones where you can go good three or four. I mean, if you get the Canson Mietientes paper, Mietientes? I'm not sure what you call it. But if you get that paper, you can you'll get a good 3, 4, 5 layers depending on the oil pastel you're using. And for me, a lot of the time, I like to use Pastels actually. Usually when I'm doing an oil pastel, and you'll find this with people who use oil pastels, you use a wide variety of different ones for each piece. So like I would never start with my Sinelli. I would always start with my Pentel, because they're harder pastels, and then my next layer would maybe be my Mungyo Gallery, or I might put some of these on if I was going to go over the top of it, or maybe Neo Pastels, and then I'd go in with a Sinelli, and that would be the top layer. because they're really juicy and smooshy. You have also got Paul Rubens High Up. They say they're light fast, but I don't know. I mean, I guess nowadays pretty much all pigments are, most things are light fast. And it's nice and warm in here, so this is all smooshing together nicely. I went out and did some plein air during the week last week, and it was -2 and -2, -3, and I can confirm that Paul Rubens High Oil Pastels freeze at -2. But it was okay, because I had Sinelli and Neo Pastel, and some of these, I've got a bigger set of these. They're in my car because I was out plein airing. Can I call it plein airing when it's pastel? I was reading a thing earlier today where people were saying that plein air only applies to paint and not to any other media, because it doesn't involve the same skill and whatever else. I don't know. I don't think I'm that much of a purist. I think perhaps plein air is like just whenever you're painting outside, whether you're painting with oils or watercolours or whatever. I don't know. I suppose with this, you don't have the same colour mixing because, well, you can't, because you need more colours because you can't mix them the same way you can mix a paint. Of course, I'm not using complementary colours and stuff. I'm not harmonising and using... I mean, I suppose I've kind of went prismatic, but I don't know. Will I go for a bit of this? Let's see. Take it a little bit purpley, maybe here and there. I don't know. Sometimes you just need a bit of the periwinkle kind of bluey purple in it. I don't know. See, they mix together themselves. They don't really need. You don't really need to use your fingers. I mean, you don't get fine edges with these. You need to go in with something like a Neo Pastel or like the top of a Sinelli maybe or something. But I'm not really looking for that today. Oh no, I don't like that. Just gonna go over the top of that. Merge it in. Smoosh it down a bit. There we go. Pull it back to blue a wee bit more. I don't know. I mean, these things are just for fun. They're not meant to be anything else, really. I just think a sketchbook is for playing and getting something down and getting something out and, I don't know, a bit of expression maybe. Anyway. So normally I would do flashes of other things, like, so in my other ones I would have like bits like this. So you can, I mean, you can see it'll go over the top of some of it, not go over the top of all of it. But this is what I would do in other mediums and stuff. So I would just have a bit of, it's not going to come out yellow because of the colour. Yeah, I think I've topped out on how many layers I can get on this. I mean, you could gesso the paper and you might get more layers on top of it, but to be honest, when you're just playing in a sketchbook, it doesn't really matter. just really love these. They're just so fun to play with. You get in a mess, but it's good fun.